steps I have outlined with an acronym called RECON, and that comes from memory reconsolidation. So, that neuroscience discovery taught us how you actually update an original neural network. So, the 5 steps begin with R, recall the memory. To reconsolidate a memory, first you've got to pull it out of storage. So the way you do that is just ask someone to recall the memory, but they only have to recall it briefly. They don't have to get into great detail because that could overwhelm them. So they just need to give you like a headline of it. And then the second thing you want to ask them is the step E in recon, explore the beliefs they attach to it. So I simply do that by saying, what did it feel like it meant about you when that happened? Or how did that change how you felt about yourself? How did that change how you felt about other people? And how did that change how you felt about your world or your future? And if you ask them in that way, they'll be able to rattle off those beliefs pretty quickly. But they won't feel like beliefs, they will feel like truths to them. So then we want to explore what they want to believe instead. And this is where you may help them. Some clients know what they want to believe instead. They realize something wasn't their fault, but sometimes they'll need your help. But we need to help them decide how they want to think about that event, or how they want to integrate it into their life in a way that is useful to them. And so once we identify an example of a desired belief, I want to recognize that it wasn't my fault when that happened. For example, let's say an abuse survivor may have said, I know technically it wasn't my fault, but I'm wondering why I didn't fight back more. And we want to help them understand, that has to do with your nervous system response. We go into freeze, submit, collapse, or something. So you want to spend some time helping the client get new beliefs that they want, but then it's not enough to just intellectually identify those new beliefs. We also want them to have a new meaning experience. So that's step 3, and this is really the key to changing a traumatic memory. We want to create a new experience that helps them embody their new belief, that would evoke it. And I use imagery, music, or movement most of the time to do this, because those are experiential tools. Your emotional brain, where that emotional memory is stored, only learns through experience. So it doesn't really get an intellectual discussion. And so in my book, Rethinking Trauma Treatment, I've packed it with all kinds of ways you can create those new meaning experiences for different types of trauma. So you create the new experience, for example, letting them step into an image of their future self, of how they want to feel. And then we go to step O. I have them objectively describe the event, but insert that new meaning experience, or tell me the story feeling empowered. And what begins to happen is that's when the brain begins to integrate that new meaning into the old memory. That's when that reconsolidation happens. And then it's the coolest thing, actually, because when they start to describe the story in this way, I don't want them to relive it, but to describe it as if they recognize I survived it. You will see it start to change right before your eyes during that step. It is the most rewarding thing for the client as well as the therapist, and often you'll see it change in just one session. Although you can do recon in several sessions, I don't want people to feel pressured. And then the last step is new narrative integration, and what that is just continuing to rework the story through the relationship with you and the client until they feel like that event now has a new narrative to it that makes more sense for their life now. So what I'll tell them is, it's like your brain downloaded an app in 1972 and we want to update it for what you know in 2019 or whatever year it is now. And so I'm excited to get this news out to therapists, because it completely changed my practice when I started using this process.